session today is on a very distinctive topic, which is property management. We welcome everyone who register and everybody who is joining as we go. We see the number increasing as the time starts. So we welcome our very honorable speaker, Mr. Mohanad Alwadiya, who is a colleague for the past years in Dubai Real Estate Institute. But Mohanad is actually I would describe his career on 3 or even more 4 tracks as a C-level manager, as a CEO of his own award-winning property management and real estate agency, Harbor Real Estate, which is itself running an institutional portfolio of more than 15 billion AED. Mohanad is also celebrated before being a celebrity and social media influencer. He's being a prolific thought leader, active in all social media and other media interfaces. One of them being his TV show on NBC, and also different appearances in different local, regional, and international media. He's also he's been for, like I said in the beginning, he's been a structure and advisor to Dubai Real Estate Institute and Dubai Land Department from the onset, since the start, and hence succeeding in certifying hundreds, if not thousands, of property real estate professionals across the region. And on another track, another separate track, Mohanad is an author of a very welcome book, I would say, on a bestseller on landlording, from renting to financial freedom. Mohanad, he's in terms of credential, also he's been celebrated as award-winning as the most distinctive international social media influencer of 2019, and I'm sure on 2021, because he's been very active. And we are very pleased to be one of his colleagues, and that's one of the reasons we invited him in IE to be with us through different appearances as well, and also offering different, I would say, state-of-the-art courses, hands-on courses based on his experience, his vast experience in the market. Welcome, Mohanad, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much for the very generous introduction. God bless you, Dr. Marouane. You are
much appreciated.
Definitely a very dear colleague and a role model for so many people in the industry.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you. So we'll be straightforward to maximize the benefits for the audience, and we divided the session into 3 parts. I would say 4, because the last part would be the question that might be raised by the audience. So the first part would be introducing. It's like introducing what is property management, really. I mean, I'm sure people hear about it. Some people have very vast knowledge about it, but some people try to explore what is property management. So our first, let's say, the first component would be introducing property management to the audience. We wouldn't spend so much time on that. And then the second. on the agenda, the second point would be, what are the main aspects of property management, professionally speaking? Why is it interesting? What are the interesting aspects? Why should I get into property management if I can? And based on that, we're going to explore the knowledge side. What courses should I take? How can I switch into property management? And if I am already into property management, how can I succeed? And the last would be the question of the audience. So the first point, like we said, what is this property management? Because we keep hearing so much about it.
Of course. Unfortunately, it's always looked at as the forgotten cousin of brokerage, property management. Although, in my opinion, and the opinion of so many real estate professionals and investment experts, it's a vital success enabler to any real estate portfolio. So in a nutshell, real estate is a gift from God to humanity. It's a fantastic asset to help in maximizing wealth and achieving financial freedom. It's one of the very rare asset classes that can generate both capital appreciation and rental returns over the long run. It's simple, it's easy, and it can really help maximize the wealth of any person from any background. The importance of property management lies in the fact that in order to succeed in investing in real estate, there are basic fundamentals. One is to buy at the right time. Second is to buy the right property. So there is almost 40 different criteria you have to take into consideration when buying a property. And third, and in my opinion, most importantly, you must manage this property in a successful manner. So to simplify it, think of a property manager as a CEO of a company that you just founded. That CEO must take charge of all the strategic and operational activities related to this investment or to this asset or this company, let's call it, that generates profit for you, and you also hope to grow the value of this company. So the role of property managers is extremely important and can play a major role in the success or failure of any real estate asset class.
So the role of the property manager involves a lot of knowledge. I mean, it seems like it transcends the knowledge that is we know about brokers, for instance. So it's much more than brokering, mediating between a buyer and seller.
Correct. To just make it simpler, any property manager can act, and most of the time acts or wears the hat of a broker for leasing or even for sales. But you cannot say the same on the other way around. Not every broker can be a property manager. Property management, in my opinion, when people ask me to define it, Dr. Marouane, you need to have 3 components. One is the foundation. Every property manager must have a very solid foundation of processes, systems, the policies, and the manpower. So you need that foundation of capabilities. And to give you an example, any activity related to real estate management will be affected by this foundation. So for example, let's say if a tenant doesn't pay rent, you must have a policy, right, in place on how to handle these cases. You must follow a specific process, which is in line with the laws and regulations. You must have a system that you utilize to ensure that you're applying and following the policies and processes. And you must have the right manpower, trained manpower, certified resources to implement and follow these tools. Then the property manager has to also set the strategic direction. Every property manager's focus should be in 2 folds, to sum it up because of the time. One, you must focus on maximizing the value of the assets while generating growing income. Unfortunately, a lot of people that I talk to, they always focus on the rental returns. They say, look, property managers means you have to rent the property. No, that's a secondary objective. Your main objective should be to maximize, protect and maximize the value of the asset, and while it generates growing income. To give you an example, so many times I receive a lot of property managers or brokers or even owners coming to me and saying, just rent the property for me. Even if you drop the price, I don't care, just rent it for me. Okay. It's my job as a property manager to advise you the right way to help you protect the value of the asset. Because if I just drop the rent for you, that will have a direct impact on your capital appreciation and the value of the asset, because they're linked. The rent returns impact the valuation of the asset. On the other hand, a lot of people, for example, say, I don't want to maintain my asset. I don't want to pay on maintenance. It's an expense I don't like. Guess what's going to happen? Yes, on the short term, you might save some money and your bottom line will look healthier and nicer, but you will really hurt your capital appreciation. It's like owning a car and not maintaining it. The value of that car will really go down. And the final component of how I define property management is on the operational side. So first we said you must have the capabilities, then you must set your focus on maximizing the value while generating income. And finally, you must have a very robust engine, operational engine that covers all the aspects related to the property. You are basically representing the owner in every operational aspect. You are entrusted by the owner to take care of everything related to the property. And here I can include, for example, the marketing, the leasing activities, the maintenance, the tenant management, legal issues, anything, even the owner association representation, everything related to that asset must be governed and handled and managed by the property manager. So this is, in a simple manner, in 3, if you want, components, how property managers can, or the discipline of property management can be governed.
All right, thank you very much. It's very eye-opening because I retain 2 things here. One thing is when you mentioned that you become entrusted by the owner. That's key, I think. And my question here is, how can we reach that stage? How can we become trusted by the owner? That's one, because it is an achievement, really. Number 2 is that property management includes the leasing side, probably the selling side, the valuation side, the community management side, even the owner association side, even. So it's basically an umbrella under which all those other specialty come, not unlike what we thought in the beginning. So this is okay.
Yeah, as we started, we said
everything.
Yeah, as we said in the beginning, it's usually the forgotten cousin of brokerage, but in reality, it's bigger than life. I mean,
correct. So,
as you mentioned, Dr. Marouane, correctly, so many times in my career, I was entrusted by owners to acquire assets for them. So they give me money, and I go help them in buying assets that later on I manage for them throughout the full cycle. And later, at one point of time, we set together an exit strategy. So we lease it for them throughout that period, and then we resell it for them.
That's you, Mohanad. That's you, because you are known as the wolf of real estate, and because you are a media figure and you are a celebrity. Okay. Yeah. But in your beginning in this profession, okay.
Yes.
I want you to go back to your beginning in this profession, okay, and tell us how you can become trusted by owners.
That's a very good question, and a message to everybody who's starting a career in property management. We need to remind ourselves that we are service providers, right? So property managers are service providers, and now more than ever, the market, the new reality, the new dynamics of the real estate industry requires a new breed of service providers, a breed that can provide exceptional customer service. So if you always remember that you are not the owner, you are not the tenant, you are not in control, you are just offering a service to all these parties, right? The tenants and the landlords. If you adopt this strategy and you really truly believe in it, slowly but surely, you're going to start gaining trust, because trust, you cannot just demand it. Trust is actually gained over time. And it's a product of really consistency of offering tangible results, of making sure you advise clients utilizing a fact-based approach. So that's a second thing. You need to invest in yourself and in your own knowledge. And third, it's an accumulation of experience. So it's a combination of these 3 elements. Always offer exceptional customer service, because in any service industry, referrals is the most, if you want, impactful tool for service providers to gain business and to get more trust. Second, make sure you always provide fact-based analysis and recommendations and services and solutions. And finally, make sure you go through the right process. Don't cut corners. I mean, until today, I read, just 2 years ago, I finished my master's from Salford University in property management, in asset management. I'm still researching. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I still feel I still have a lot to learn about this ocean called property management. So there isn't like a simple, easy, if you want, button or shortcut. No, whoever tells you there's a shortcut in property management, they're lying to you. You have to go through the hard work, the hours. A lot of people, Dr. Marouane, ask me, or they tell me, you're an expert. Can you define an expert? For me, the definition of an expert is not somebody who's just knowledgeable. It's somebody who's been through all the mistakes in that field. I've been through every single issue, every possible mistake you can imagine. I've seen it all. That's why I can call myself, or people call me now, an expert, right? Because I've been through all the screw-ups. It's not just all good things. Absolutely. The more mistakes you do, and if you learn from really good mentors, if you work in a good organization that really believes in this culture, you will slowly but surely become a very skilled property manager.
Yes, very clear. Since you mentioned the process, Mohanad, can we talk about a simplified process of property management?
Of course.
From start to finish? I mean, I know there is no finish to it, but from start to end, really, what is the process?
It's more of a roadmap, I would say.
Yeah, correct.
of any property manager going through it. And it starts with taking over a property. So I'm going to start from that part. And you have so many levels of taking over a property. And I can give you some of the examples I went through just to demonstrate. So sometimes you will be asked to take over a property from a competitive agency that the client was dealing with and he's not happy with them. Another scenario, you could take over a property that an owner just acquired from the market, from a developer or from another individual, and asked you to help him or her in managing the property. It could be a property that is fully occupied, or it could be fully vacant. Sometimes you take over a property from a contractor. You're taking the handover is coming from a contractor or from a developer. So you have so many scenarios to go through, and there is definitely a very detailed process of how you can ensure that this experience, which I call the taking over experience, is done in a professional professional manner up to the, if you want, expected standards. Then after you take over, you have to go through a phase which I call the planning phase. You have a lot of financial planning and modeling, a lot of research, a lot of market and marketing research that you have to develop. And by marketing, I mean you have to start by understanding the product, understanding the competition, the pricing, the communication approach, the target audience. You have to really develop a very realistic outlook of that asset that you were just entrusted with. You need to put a strategy in place when it comes to the pricing, when it comes to the yield expectations, the expenses. It's like doing a full financial plan for a new business. So even your P&L, everything, you have to build a full model and agree with the landlord on that model. Just get their buy on it, and make sure that you are not just saying yes to this owner, because a lot of owners will just tell you, I want the highest rent, I want you to triple my rent, right? So you have to demonstrate to them, as I mentioned earlier, using facts, your point of view. The next step would be, logically, is to take it to market. So that's when you start. Before you actually take it to market, there is a stage which is very important and very often forgotten, which is the staging stage. You have to stage that property to make sure it's ready to receive potential leads to it. And then you go through the full marketing mix to ensure that you generate leads that are quality leads, efficient leads. And after that, you start converting these leads. And this is a full process. It's not, again, a press of a button, where you go maybe through what people call the leasing activity, right? So logically, you go through the process, you profile, you make sure you attract the right caliber of tenants. Because unlike brokers, leasing brokers, a leasing broker's job ends as soon as that leasing contract is signed. And they get their commission and they're happy. So I've seen from my experience as a property manager that a lot of leasing brokers do not care about the quality of the tenant. They don't care if this tenant could be a possible hazard, if it's going to be turned into a labor camp, if they have a history of bounce checks, if they're not the right kind of tenants, because all they care about, and this is from experience, they care about just getting their check and their job is over, right? On the other hand, with property managers, guess what? If I pick the wrong kind of tenant, I'm stuck with this mistake for a very long time. So that's where it's not just leasing, it's leasing with attention to the quality of that and the profile of that potential tenant that you're about to convert into a tenant. After you find, and I'm going very quickly, usually I spend days to describe these stages. After that, you have the move-in process, which is a very important stage in the life cycle or in the roadmap. It's a moment of truth, right? This is where you're actually bringing people to move into their home for that set period of time. And after that starts the rent collection and the management of the tenant or the occupants of the property. And at the end of this roadmap, you are left with two choices: either to renew, which is should be your ultimate goal, renew with that tenant, make sure they're happy and they stay, and make sure they're happy to a level where they become advocates. They start getting you more referrals and more potential tenants. And sometimes you might have to tell them goodbye. You let them go. That's when they exit. And then you take over the property from them and you start the process again, right? Which I described, taking over and you go through it. So this is just how I showed you the loop. I took you through the journey very quickly in like 5 minutes. There are obviously things that are ongoing. I call them the ongoing functions, Dr. Marouane, where, for example, as a property manager, you have to still deliver regular reports. Reporting is a key activity that has nothing to do with the cycle. It could be a vacant property, but I still need to provide the owner with reports. There are improvements that I have to do on a periodic basis to make sure that the asset is still healthy, and I can also find opportunities to maximize the value or the potential of this asset. There is maintenance, that is an ongoing function. There is tenant management, if you have legal disputes or any issues that you still have to take care of. So there are ongoing functions that are not part of the main cycle that every property manager has to go through.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I hope the process was very clear. And I know for sure the process takes different sessions actually to discuss each aspect of it.
I can spend a day on each one of them.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just an overview of to show the importance and to familiarize our esteemed audience about the process. Really, there is a couple of, I'm leaving the questions to be raised towards the end, not to distract the normal sequence of our talk. But one question caught my attention is by our dear colleague Hiba Jaber. The question is since we mentioned the process, and I thought it's the right time to ask it instead of leaving it to the end. It's more on whether we should, as a property management company, keep the facility management in-house or outsource it.
That's a very good question, and I would like to send a very big hello to our dear colleague Hiba Jaber. She's a veteran in the industry, and I have so much respect for her. So this question is often asked: should we have in-house maintenance and facility management capabilities, or we outsource it? I'll tell you first our experience at Harbor Real Estate. We've been doing this for over now 48 years, and it's part of our DNA that we never have in-house maintenance and FM resources. Why? Simply because we want to avoid conflict of interest. Let me give you an example. If you are the owner, Dr. Marouane, of this specific property, and you entrust me, again, I'm using the word entrust me to manage this property on your behalf. If I start submitting to you maintenance invoices for your property, and you see that it has Harbor Real Estate's logo on it, how are you going to feel? You're going to start thinking,
you're inflating.
Are they really getting me first the best rate? Second, some people start questioning, did they really do the job, or they're just trying to feed their in-house maintenance team? We decided consciously to stay out of this conflict of interest. I know other people who might be with us today will disagree and say, no, it's a legitimate source of income. We can make money from it, and we can offer maybe better quality because we know the assets. Our maintenance team will understand it. I can still achieve that with reputable external parties. Another thing that I always advise is we never add any markups or charge any fees on this, because we are paid a property management fee. So I never go and tell any maintenance company, and you can ask all the maintenance and FM companies that have been dealing with us for decades, we never take from them a fils, not a dirham, of their income. We refuse to do that. I know a lot of property management companies, they'll say, listen, work with us, we'll work with you, and you pay us, I don't know what they call it, a markup, money under the table, something hidden.
Service charge.
You know what? And I challenge any of these property managers to go and disclose this to the landlords they represent. They don't. It's always a hidden agreement. And anything that's hidden, I feel it's wrong, and I want to avoid it.
Although it's a common practice in the market,
it's a common practice, but I personally advise against it, because again, we are entrusted. You don't want, and I'll tell you my argument here. I don't want this service provider to look at me one day and say, listen, I'm paying you, so don't question my quality of work. You're getting a cut. So don't tell me you don't like the way we fix things, right? Or if we're late, or we don't have good customer service. I want to always feel that I am independent, and I represent the owner that entrusted me with his or her property in a professional, ethical, religious, whatever makes you tick,
transparent.
In a very transparent, professional manner.
Correct. And this joins one question by Ms. Pia Katrina Faustino, who says, okay, fine, but how do you price the property management fee?
Of course, it's very important. One of the key enablers or elements that will set you for success or failure is the way you price your fees. Because if you price it too high, very soon the landlord will feel that it's eating up from their returns, and they might tender and go for someone else. And if you base your rate too low, it might end up making you in a situation where you're at a loss, or you're not able to provide the right resources, technical or human, to service that portfolio or that asset in the right manner. So the way we usually price, or the way you should set your fee, and I would like first to correct a misconception in the marketplace. I've heard a lot of people say that the property management fees is 5%. Everybody seems to agree on this. This is not true. It's far from the truth. The property management fees varies according to so many variables. One, the size of the portfolio. Second, the expected collection time, the actual complexity, the scope of work, the caliber of the resources, the type of the asset. Commercial assets are different than residential assets, different than industrial assets. So you have so many aspects. And just to answer the person who asked, we, for example, at Harbor or throughout my career, we charged portfolios as low as 0, and I'll explain what I mean by 0, up to 10%.
Okay.
Just to again emphasize that the 5% thing is a myth. So why 0%? I can mention two cases. Once, because we wanted to work on a portfolio for a very reputable institutional client that had a huge portfolio, very big, and we agreed with them because they had bad experiences. We told them, listen, we will work with you for a period of 6 months on a trial basis. If you like us, then you pay us the fees. So I took the challenge, I worked on, and that's a way of how you can get business. I worked with them for 6 months. It was an investment from our side, but guess what? It was a calculated investment, because we also knew that this asset class is in demand, and this was a new building. So we were going to make some money from leasing, right? So I knew that there were some revenues coming somehow from that. So we took the challenge, and guess what? We won it, and then we got the fee we want. A second example is when we worked with the Awqaf and Minor Affairs, which is a government charitable organization in Dubai. We worked with them for a period of time, like a long period of time, and we told them, listen, we are willing to work with you. We don't want the actual fees to be paid to us. We want to immediately donate it, give it back as charity. So whatever fee they gave us, we gave it back as charity. So I don't know if this is called 0, but we got a lot of good deeds, hasanat, they say, because of it. On the other hand, the 10% was for a small project. Let's say we had a project in Jumeirah, commercial asset, 8 villas. And guess what, Dr. Marouane? 2 of these villas were going to be demolished because of the canal project at the time.
Yes.
So it was a very demanding assignment, very complex, and they were all commercial. So imagine evicting these tenants. There is no income. The other villas tenants were also complaining, and there were cases. So there was no, if I told them, give me 5% or 4%, I would be shooting myself on the foot, because I knew that the income was going to drop and we're going to have a lot of issues. So it was a complex assignment, and part of the assignment was also to negotiate with the compensation committee, which was from RTA, Dubai Municipality, and the valuation center of DLD. So we had to go through a lot of work that is not your typical scope, right? So because of that, we agreed on a higher retainer fee. So this is just to show you, or to answer the person who asked, this is how we I would advise people to look at their costing for their management fees.
Yes, absolutely. Since you mentioned the commercial villas, the story of the commercial villas, the case study, again, another question by our dear Hiba Jaber. She's saying, we have been waiting for new commercial property rental laws. Any idea will this law will be published?
I actually had the pleasure or the honor of seeing the draft of the new rental law. And the new rental law, unlike the existing one, Law 33 of 2008, actually has different verticals. So it caters for the commercial, it caters for education, it caters for residential in a very detailed manner, which was, in my opinion, something that the market has been waiting for. To be honest with you, the last I've heard about when it's going to be released was in 2020, but I'm sure, and I think we all understand why things got a bit delayed because of the pandemic. So I would say anytime soon, and I think in this year, the year for the year to prepare for the next 50 years, I think we're going to have very exciting new regulations and laws to pave the way for the industry to continue doing well over the next decade. So I'm hoping this year.
Okay, clear. And this is part of the changes that are probably the pandemic has facilitated or made faster. Like the property management and this is an interesting area to discuss. Did it change during the COVID pandemic?
Of course, I'll tell you a very interesting, two interesting facts. During the pandemic, everybody, especially during the cleansing that was happening, or the lockdown, some people called it, everybody was sitting at home. Guess what? We were in the field. We had to work every day. We had permissions. We were going out because we were trying to fulfill our role by really servicing all the parties we work with. Landlords were getting nervous. They were worried about their income, their returns, what's going to happen to the market. So we had to assure them with the reports, showing them how we're handling the situation, putting in place new systems and processes and policies to govern the communities we manage and the tenants we work with. And on the other hand, a major focus was given to the tenants because every tenant was nervous. Everybody was asking what's going to happen. If you remember back in the days, what's going to happen if my neighbor was diagnosed? So we had to assure them. We had even teams on standby. We had kits sent to different tenants. We had to work on a new policy to handle the situations of people who lost their jobs because of the pandemic, or God forbid, people actually passed away. We had cases of that. So we had a whole policy set in place to manage these situations. It was maintenance, for example. We had also situations of people who needed to move out. Imagine, during the pandemic, there were people moving out. So we had to step in and help them because other service providers were not there. I remember two of our drivers volunteered to help a family move their furniture and belongings because no moving companies were allowed to work and didn't want to help them. So we had to step in and service them at that time. So I honestly, I was very grateful, and I give a big shout out to every single member at Harbor Real Estate because they were actually real heroes during that pandemic. And I would say the same to every property manager who was really working hard during that period to protect both parties and to really fulfill their ultimate, role as a property manager.
I can imagine. Yes, absolutely. It is. I mean, but it is also one phase that where we've seen that the role of property management in practice, that it's during the pandemic, it is really, really important. I mean, some people discovered the role of property management during the pandemic.
Correct. To be honest with you, during 2020, we increased our portfolio by almost 28%. We got a lot of new business during 2020 because people, as you mentioned correctly, Dr. Marouane, realized the importance of really working with a professional property management agency.
Ironically, and it makes a big difference really during phases like this. So talking about property management now, we had an overview, we talked about the process, we talked about some legal aspects, we talked about some interesting cases, but then working in, the other side of the other side of the story, as working in real estate, as a property management professional.
Yes.
What are the main advantages / disadvantages of working in property management? I mean, I'm sure there is a headache. There is lots of headaches.
Of course.
But they are way outweighed by the advantages. So can you give us some insights here?
Yes, I'm gonna try to be fair as possible to weigh both sides. But obviously, I'm a big fanatic. I'm very passionate about this industry. So when it comes to the pros or advantages of working in property management, first, it lacks routine. It's a fun job. You have every day a different challenge, different activity. Maybe some activities are repetitive, but guess what? Because you're dealing with different tenants, different landlords, different situations, it lacks routine. So whoever hates routine, work in property management. Second, you gain first-hand experience in investment in real estate. So if you ever, and I think everybody in this room should aspire to become a landlord, because it's a fantastic way to maximize your sources of income and to achieve financial freedom, right? So if you want to really be skilled and skillful and to achieve the best outcomes of your real estate investment, work in property management. because as we discussed earlier, it's the umbrella. It covers all aspects from acquisition to strategic planning, financial modeling, to dealing with tenants, to maintenance, to FM, you name it, everything, you know, you have to evaluation, you have to cover the full scope of services. So you gain first-hand experience and you will become a much better landlord. Next, it has a very good advantage because you have human interaction. So if you're a people's person, you will love working in property management because, and also you'll develop your managerial skills because you'll be managing not just the property, you'll be managing the landlord, managing the tenants, managing suppliers, managing your team. So you have a lot of, you're playing a lot of managerial roles, which will help develop your professional personality and experience. It's also, and I love to use this analogy, it's a fantastic gym to develop a lot of skills that you cannot develop anywhere else. So, for example, your client servicing skills will be developed, financial planning, marketing, screening, maintenance, accounting, admin, legal, in addition to so many personal qualities and skills that you honestly cannot get anywhere else, like patience, time management, problem solving, computer skills, negotiation skills, communication skills. These skills, you have to practice them. It's like somebody saying, I need to grow my muscles, right? Or become fit. Let me go attend a course or go enroll in a gym. And you go for one day, you speak to the personal trainer and they tell you have to eat this and do these exercises. And you never go back to the gym. Are you going to become fit? No. The same thing with property management. You cannot go, and I'm saying this, although I have a course with the IE team about negotiation skills and communication skills. But guess what? Everybody that attends this course, Dr. Marouane, you know what I tell them in the beginning of the course? I'm so sorry to tell you that you have wasted your money and time today with me. Because most of the time in these courses, and you know better than me, you go to a negotiation course, a skills course, or a communication skills course, and guess what? You attend it, you leave, and 99% of the people don't apply what they learned. So their muscles will not grow in this aspect. Your negotiation skills muscles, your communication skills muscles. The same thing applies to property management and to all these skills I mentioned earlier. Property management is a fantastic gym. You go every day and you practice all of these set of skills. Now, another aspect which I have to highlight, which is the money aspect. It's a very lucrative, I would say, career, not a job. It's a career. It's not just a, I know a lot of people who go to brokerage, for example, and they call it a job. Some people call it a transit job because, yeah, I lost my job or I want to try brokerage for a while, see if I do well or not. But in property management, it's a career. It has an academic foundation. It has a career path. You get a fixed salary plus a variable. And as an agency, you get a retainer fee, which gives you stability. You get also access to leasing opportunities, sales opportunities, right? So just to give an example, as I mentioned earlier, I get clients who ask me to buy for them. So I act now as a broker. Sometimes and then I have to lease it for them. I have to manage it for them. I have to do the renewals for them. And at one point of time, I'll have to help them exit and sell it again. And then that money, again, they buy with it. So it really covers all the, if you want, the cycle of money making, which is fantastic. Now, let's talk about the negatives, and they're very few because I told you it's a great industry to work for. One is long hours. Honestly, it's some people actually, it's very funny because I was having earlier today interviews with candidates who want to join our team. And one of them asked me, you know, at the end of an interview, when you say, do you have any questions? And one of them said, I'm so sorry, what are your working hours? You know, not during Ramadan, after Ramadan. I laughed. I told them, what are you talking about? We're in property management. We work 24/7. Our real estate offices are open 24/7. You can walk in at 4 a.m. on a weekend and you will find people working. The lights are on. Everything is on because this is what it takes to work in property management. It's an around the clock duty. So for people who value a lot personal time and taking long vacations, I remember the longest break I took in my life was 5 days in my entire life. So we don't get this luxury, but guess what? When you love what you do, you don't complain because I don't think of it as a job. It's what I do and it's what I love doing. Another aspect which some people find challenging is dealing with difficult tenants and landlords. You know, it's a daunting task to actually manage expectations. People only call you, by the way, only call you when things go wrong. So nobody will call the property management to say, hey, hello, good morning. I just want to tell you I'm having a great day at the property I'm renting through you guys. No, they only call you when they have problems. So if you are not equipped, and I mean physically, mentally, spiritually, to handle people, if you don't have it in you to be a people's person and a customer service oriented person, you will burn out very quickly. And I have seen it. I've seen brilliant young people full of energy burn out in a matter of 6 months because they did not understand, or their system was not equipped to handle problems. People come to you with negative energy, they dump it on you. You have to absorb it all. And guess what? You have to give them positive energy and solutions. You cannot have negative energy and return it as negative energy. And that's part of the job. So these are, I would say, are the main aspects. So time consuming, it takes away a lot of your time and energy. So and there is a fix for it. If you have a very good organization, structured, you have shifts, you have people who are responsible and accountable, and you have the right systems in place, it can really help you with time management. And when it comes to the dealing with difficult tenants and landlords, you need to just have the right training, have the right attitude, and find your fix. Find something that will help you rejuvenate and re-energize yourself. It could be sports, it could be family time, it could be praying, it could be whatever makes you feel, you know, that you're gaining your positive energy again. So you need, it's part of the exercise of working property management. Find your fix to continue with your momentum.
All right. Thank you very much. And now a question from Mr. Anas, although it was raised privately, but it's okay. It benefits to the entire audience. He's saying, can I become a property management by attending the courses that are offered by Mohanad?
Yes, actually, one of the things, a lot of people ask me, how can I become a property manager? Or what do I need to study to become a property manager? So I've seen in my career, people coming to property management from different fields. Some of them from brokerage, some of them from the FM world, some of them come from engineering. So we have architects, we have civil engineers who converted into property managers. And we have people who come from marketing, people who come from finance, people who come from legal. So as we discussed earlier, it's like a company, right? Property management is like a company. So you require all of these skills sets. So whoever comes from any specific background, I always assume that this will become their strength area, their forte within the entire ecosystem of property management. So you can have a background from any of these and you will do well if you have the right attitude and you're willing to learn and, you know, work in as part of the holistic system. But there are degrees. I personally, as I mentioned earlier, I got my master's in asset management from Salford University. I studied finance. I studied construction material management. So it depends what you want to study to help you in your career. But also, I always believe in not academic only, also in your personal development. So reading, attending courses. The Dubai Land Department, ARERA, have been offering for the last decade or more the certification course for property managers. And this is a legal requirement. I think the question was about this. If you attend this course, yes, you will be certified as a property manager. And that course takes around 2 to 3 days. I teach 2 days and 1 day is taught by a legal consultant focused on the aspect of legal in terms of property management or in the context of property management. But in my opinion, humble opinion, that's not enough. I spent 2 years of my life and I'm now applying for hopefully my PhD in the same field, and it could take to 3-4 years, right? To I would say scratch the surface to understand really this big discipline. So if you want to get certified quickly, yes, attend the course. It's a mandatory and it has weight. When I've seen a lot of people on their CVs, they say, I attended the course at RERA, at the Dubai Real Estate Institute, and I am a certified property manager. And guess what? They get jobs and people love it, especially when it comes from Dubai, because Dubai now has become a capital when it comes to real estate, global capital for real estate. So yes, it's got weight. But in reality, you still need to, one, develop yourself by reading, attending courses, Also by working with organizations that I would dare call schools in property management. There are some companies, and there are not many, by the way, that can really offer you in-depth knowledge and training and on-the-job career development to really sharpen your skills and get the best out of yourself in this field.
Yeah, very clear. Thank you. Very useful. That's what was very useful. Follow-up question on property management fee that we mentioned earlier. We discussed a little bit earlier. Ms. Pia Katrina Faustino, again, back to me again. When should we charge the landlord the property management fee? When the flat is rented, or what the time of taking off the apartment?
It depends. When you actually collect, the collection is different than when you bill it. You bill it from the day you are appointed. So let's say we agree 1st of May, I'm going to become your property manager. So you have to pay me from the 1st of May. But when do I actually collect my payments? It depends on the cash flow. I wouldn't advise you to go to any landlord where the property is still vacant. Maybe he has had a very bad experience with the previous property manager. He has to pay service charges, and then you come and say, pay me for the first month. Right? First, I would recommend rent it quickly for them at the best rate, show them what you're made of, show them your real metal, and then tell them, I'm gonna start invoicing you on a pro rata basis from the day of appointments. But make sure it's very clear from day one, contractually, and also explain it to the landlord.
All right, very clear, I hope. Ms. Ola is asking 2 questions. The first one being property management fee decreases as the rent decreases. Of course, I'm assuming that it is flexible according to the rent.
The answer is yes. It has to always be linked to that, and that's the beauty of it. That's why I think landlords should trust us even more, because the more I get you, the more I will earn as well, right? So they know that the interest of the landlord is my interest as well.
Yeah, but what was the question? This is the point. She's asking, what if it goes down? How can we manage this? How can we increase? How can we? I mean, if it decreases the rental, should our fee decrease?
The answer is yes, but you can always protect yourself, which would I will use a terminology of, let's say, a minimum. A cap, like you say, a minimum amount monthly of this much, which I usually demonstrate to the landlord. I show them, look, I'm going to hire 6 resources of this caliber, and this is their actual cost. These are your team members, Mr. Landlord. These are the people who are working 24/7 for you, and this is their salaries. The extra is what we're making as profit, right? And it's connected to your variable. And I always tell them, look, the percentage is equal to this. And guess what we do as well? We always add a lot of variables, bonuses. If I help you achieve a higher valuation, if I help you achieve a higher occupancy rate, if I help you optimize your expenses. So based on these aspects, we also get a bonus, performance bonus.
Okay, clear. And on top of that question, she's asking, how can we increase our portfolio? I mean, I'm not sure what she meant, but portfolio, is it in terms of number of assets or what exactly?
It could be in different aspects, maybe or different value. Clients, different number of volume, or different number of clients. It doesn't matter. My answer is by making sure that you build a very strong brand name, and brands are not built only by campaigns, are built by experiences. We are service providers, as I mentioned earlier. You need to have the highest number of advocates, people who are really advocating you. I get a lot of business because of clients calling and saying, you know what, I want you to manage my property like you manage my friends or my cousins or my brothers. I've heard how amazing you are. Please, they come to me and say, please do the same for me, right? Put yourself, everybody who's listening to us, put yourself in this situation. How would you feel? Amazing, right? That's the easiest form. And if you speak to any service provider, they'll tell you the magic is in customer service, retention of your existing clients, and great customer service. That's what's going to happen. Then you can do ads, you can do whatever you want. But guess what? I've seen a lot of people run campaigns, and then as soon as they deal with them, they're hit with reality, and they know that they're not walking the talk. Yes, you told me you're the number one, or you're the best, or we're the oldest, or we're the biggest in the industry. We tried you for a month and you failed miserably. So here's your termination notice. We have clients at Harbor Real Estate, property management, institutional clients that have been with us for more than a decade. We have clients that have been with us since 2008 with billions, entrusting us with billions. And guess what? As part of their process, they have to tender every year. So imagine every year we've been protecting our position for over a decade. Why? Because of customer service, because of the added value we offer, because we really adopted and we work with this culture of, you know, I'm entrusted. I am going to do my best as if this is my own property. I always tell every property manager, consider this property as if it's yours. Would you agree to keep it vacant for a month? Would you agree that the condition of the property will be this bad? Would you agree that when a tenant calls to ask for something, you don't reply to him? That's your source of income, right? So if you start thinking this way and forget about the money and forget about increasing a portfolio, the money will come and more growth will come with it.
Excellent, brilliant, and I think it would be fair to say that most of the business come from referrals.
I agree.
Property management, yes. Yeah. Okay, so one of our attendees is asking: is there a property management software that you're aware of?
Yes, of course. There are. I personally had, I wouldn't say the pleasure, the pain of going through 12 different software in my career. So, and currently, by the way, at Harbor Real Estate, we are using 4 different software. Why? Because we believe in offering the best customer service, and some of our clients prefer to work with a specific software. So my answer to the person who's asking, rather than I recommend for you a specific brand, because by the way, I get a lot of people as an influencer telling me, recommend our software and we'll pay you for it. And I refuse to do that because of credibility aspects. But I will tell you how you can choose the right software, right? First, you need to understand the needs of the portfolio you're managing, the clients and your needs and your capabilities. For example, there are some software that is more suitable to managing commercial assets, retail or offices. So you need to look for that kind of software. You need to also be careful about what you pay, because if you go for a very cheap software, you can get one from your app store for like $10, a property management software, but don't expect this to manage for you a multi-billion dirham portfolio. On the other hand, I've worked with developers who spent over $1 million optimizing a software with Oracle because it's very manageable, very customizable, sorry. And guess what? The end result was a disaster because it was too complicated that nobody wanted to work with it. So be careful about what you pay for. Always also ask for a demo. My advice to all of you, before you pay a dirham for a property management software, demand to have a demo for at least a month and use it and try it. If a company tells you, we don't offer a demo, do not buy from them. I'm telling you from now. And another aspect, make sure when you're selecting a software, make sure it has updates. It has post-service customer service. Because some of these software, you buy them off the shelf and then you find issues, you need to update things and they're locked. Their programming is locked. So you cannot change anything. And then guess what? You go through the painful process. That's why I said the pains. The painful process of migrating to a new software, which if any of you has been through this exercise, they know what I'm talking about. It's a nightmare, especially when you're managing tens of thousands of units.
Clear. Ms. Pia asking for landlords who are based abroad, shall we charge the 5% VAT on PMP?
To my knowledge, the VAT is only applicable on local, but please, I would recommend that she consults a legal advisor about this, or a VAT expert about it.
A VAT expert.
Yeah.
Elizabeth is asking, which company do you use to do MEP inspections, especially during handovers?
We have different companies that we work with, and by the way, 2 types of companies. One is usually through a tender process, but one that is usually recommended by the landlords we work with, because most of our landlords are institutional. So we ask them to recommend some names, and we also conduct research and we go through a full process of tendering. When we look at credentials, we send out a proper tender brief. We receive the tender submissions in a closed envelope with a committee. We open them and we decide together. And after that, there will be like any employee, when you hire an employee, a probation period where we try them, we have KPIs, and based on that, we work with them. So we don't have a single specific service provider, be it for MEP inspection, maintenance, FM, so many landscaping, renovations, fit out. We have so many different suppliers that we outsource, but we always work with reputable companies and based on a proper structure or system in place.
Okay, very clear. Thank you very much. My last question is about
yeah, it's almost time.
Yeah, we are spot on time. Huh? We have a question about more resources. Where can we find the resources, secondary data, resources, cases, books, even to deepen our knowledge about property management?
I would start. I don't know if you can see it. I would start with my book. I have two copies or two versions. One is called Landlording, From Renting to Financial Freedom, and the other one is called The A to Z of Property Management, which is more tailored for the professionals. Both books are available in all the major bookstores, in all the major portals like Noon, Amazon, Jamalon. I mean, it's available everywhere. Also available, I think, with the IE team. So this is one of the resources. They can also go to a lot of international bodies and associations for property managers. They can enroll in it, and they have a lot of research available in these usually typical associations. And they can attend courses. IE offers a lot of courses. And the beauty of property management, as you mentioned earlier, it's very holistic. So even if you take a course in legal for real estate, or FM for real estate, or OA for real estate, you're enriching your experience as a property manager. So there are a lot of tools and resources they can be part of. By the way, how many attendees do we have so far?
37, 38.
37. Then you know what? I would love to gift each and every one of you a copy of my book. So
thank you very much.
I will send all the copies to the IE team, and you can get your copies from them.
Thank you very much.
Most welcome. Most welcome.
All right.
Nice gift at the end.
Thank you very much. That wasn't used to promote the seminar, so it comes at the end. So that's a proof we're not using your book to promote this session. Huh?
Excellent.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for all the audience. We tried to have the question. I'm sorry I interrupted you so many times to raise the question, because I felt it's appropriate to ask it at that time. Okay.
No, I never mind, because I know you are a true professional, and I know when you stop.
Thank you very much. Thanks, dear. Thank you, and thank you to our esteemed audience for taking the time and attending with us this session. We thank you for the question you raised, for being here with us, and we look forward to having you in more sessions to come in different fields, whether property management or not. We'll be sure that the session will add to you in terms of knowledge, in terms of hands-on experience particularly. And we invite you to visit our website to see the courses that are offered, and also to look at the bios of our esteemed faculty as well. We thank you, Mohanad, for taking the time to be with us, and we look forward to having you more, because it seems like the audience, as I see in the chat box, there is a huge demand for having more sessions.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I'm really proud to be part of the IE team, which is hopefully a continuation of our journey with the Dubai Real Estate Institute. And thank you so much, Dr. Marouane.
Thanks very much. Thank you again. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. And see you again very soon, I hope. Huh? Thank you. Bye-bye.